It's time. What's up, all you guys and gals? It's WQAR The Buzz. Lawman, you've come to greet me.
Turn the music down. Hey, buddy. Good to see you. Welcome. I'm excited for you to be here for this one. I'm glad you're here. Hopefully you can stay around for a little while, because this is a opportunity for me to share some of my culture with you, my friend. I've missed you. I really have, genuinely, as a friend. And it's good to talk. I've been so busy, mainly with I'm back in college. So that's been a challenge, but it's good. It's good to see you, buddy. And we're gonna do something fun today. And I'm doing this is a stream about professional wrestling. It's called the Wrestle Rant, which I will chop up into a podcast, which I've done already. There's already one episode up of the Walski 64 podcast. All of this is Walski 64. I am Walski 64. We are Walski 64. So, welcome. And I'm glad you have a free day, Law. It's good to see you and talk to you. And I actually can start this off by asking you a question. What do you know? And it can be a very brief, you don't have to be a big answer. Just, is there a prevalent professional wrestling culture in Belgium, where you live? And when I say wrestling to you, like, just what do you think of? Who pops in your head? What pops into your head? You don't know. That makes sense. That does make sense. Nobody knows what wrestling is. No one. No one, I say. No one. Hey, look at that, big man. Lawman, you know I always appreciate you. Always, so much. It's more than just a sub and a mod, but you're a good guy. And one day we'll meet, and it'll be glorious at WalskiCon. Are you just you're gonna do that the whole time, Millie? Kind of finally get the lighting in this room figured out for the most part, but like when I shift a little bit, it still fucks up. So I'm getting there. We're getting there. But thank you for the subscription, Lawman. You're a valuable member of our team here, so I appreciate it. There'll come a day. A ring light, I guess. I hate them. I hate them looking at my fucking face. I hate them. I hate them. I hate them. I hate them. I guess I could put it behind my monitor. I've thought about it because I have a light here. Like I have two lights. I have this guy behind me, and then I have this. There's a light over here. This is okay, a nice soft light, and I have the blue light filters on, so it looks a little sepia to me. But I'm getting there. We're getting there. So, all right. Well, then there's not much in Belgium, and wrestling really is sort of confined at times to certain areas of the world. It is something that is a worldwide phenomenon, but it has like hubs in certain parts of the world, mainly North America, Mexico, the United Kingdom, and Japan. And is that not like fake fighting? Well, this is all right. This is gonna be fun because again, you're the audience to me, Lawman. So I will. If anyone's watching this and is a big wrestling fan, you may not get anything out of this. Out of this next bit, and Millie, I swear to God, I love you. I love you so much, but you can't. Nah, she's gonna do it anyways. Yeah, the dog will still. All right, if you hear that crunching noise in the background, then that's my dog. So, as Millie crunches away here, this is a good time then to talk to you about what is wrestling, right? If I'm going to. This is the first time on this particular channel, on this particular podcast, I've talked about wrestling. Then let's just start at the beginning. So professional wrestling, like as you know it, right? Two beefed up, oily guys or gals. It's something that, or anything in between. It's the landscape is changing for that, which is nice. Is it a sport? That's another. We're gonna get to that, man. You're asking incredible questions. That's why I love you, brother. And it is. I will by the end of this convince you that it is a sport. I promise you that. I really do. If you'll give me the time. So that is kind of a good kind of point there. Is wrestling a sport? I argue yes. Why? So professional wrestling, quite obviously, if you haven't figured it out, is not an actual struggle between two parties, sometimes three or more. It is choreographed to a degree. The results are, for the most part, predetermined. This has been officially like in the books known, I think, since 1989, when one Vince McMahon was, when I again, this is, so I promise that this is going to be the last podcast that I do that's a little more off the cuff, as in I have prepared no notes. You're kind of just getting my information. When I do the Codemaster and the racing stuff, I have a lot more research prepared. So this is the last of the Off the Dome podcast. But if I'm not mistaken, it was 1989 where Vince McMahon didn't want to be considered he didn't want to keep getting poked and prodded by the athletic commissions. So he came out and said, like, look, this isn't a real competition, so we don't need to follow the same guidelines as, like boxing and karate, whatever. So, and then in 1996, I think there was another, like, he said it in a court of law, which, was the first time it was said in a court of law. But it's been known almost since wrestling became a quote-unquote work, not real, which was in the 20s and 30s, when, again, like, these catch wrestlers in the early 1900s, 1800s, whatever, like the wrestling Abraham Lincoln did, they were wrestling each other. They were really wrestling. And it was in the carnivals where this would kind of take place. Jesus Christ, Millie. Look at her face. And yeah, it's just give you the fun stuff. So these touring carnival circuits sort of realize, like, well, we fix these fights, they're more exciting and people are more apt to want to come back. So that's kind of where a work, quote unquote, the working nature of professional wrestling was born in carnivals. That's why you'll regularly hear somebody referred to as a carny, like carny ideals or carny mindsets. Just kind of comes from that. So at one point, wrestling was a legitimate sport. I mean, it goes back to, and in my college class right now, I'm taking a pretty basic Western civilization class. We talk about the Greek Olympics. They wrestled there. That's where catch wrestling comes all the way back from Greco-Roman wrestling. Like, wrestling has been around for forever. But just a bunch of really smart carnival promoters were like, we'll fix it and make it look real, and the fights will be more exciting. So, wrestling was a legitimate sport. Wrestling still is a legitimate sport. And you kind of have amateur wrestling and professional wrestling. It's weird how amateur wrestling has to have this thing attached to it. It's all amateur. Like, the fact that there isn't professional amateur wrestling is kind of a bummer. I guess it's been phased into mixed martial arts a bit. But, I don't know. I think there could be a space for real, like, actual catch wrestling, amateur wrestling on a more professional, like a league or something. I don't know. Maybe there is, and I'm just not looking hard enough. Right, Millie? Right, Millie? I can't. No, Millie. This bone is so loud. And I'm trying to teach the people. And I want you to have this. And I love her so much. I do, but I have to know, Millie. You can't be hearing through the bone. The doggo wants her bone. I know this. Okay, go over there with the bone, please. Oh, the Wrestle Rant. We're going to have fun. Nah, he's right back up. Okay. Well, you catch my drift. Wrestling came from a legitimate sport. And where it is now, professional wrestling, while not a legitimate athletic competition between two parties, I still think is a sport. Is dance not a sport? Is competitive dance not a sport? Is competitive cheerleading not a sport? Is motocross, like X-Cross, skateboarders doing tricks on half pipes and vert ramps. Is that not a sport? I like to think that Tony Hawk thought about doing the 900 before he actually did it. Is because he thought, like, why would that not be a sport? So, while it's definitely not a legitimate athletic competition, I will always concede that. I have no problem admitting that. People will be like, how can you watch people fake fight? It's how can you watch people fake fight in Marvel movies? Or how can you watch them fake fight in John Wick? Or very similar. You'd have people like Jim Cornette, who I'll talk about later, who think that's wrong, who think that that's not the way it should be, who still want to, kind of want to take things backwards and be like, well, we can go back to where people really thought this shit was real. It's just genie's out of the bottle, cat's out of the bag. Trying to do anything else is just going backwards at this point. So that's wrestling. That's the history of wrestling. And why it's a sport, I guess. Right, Millie? So, with that being said, and again, that's not exactly going to like drive the point home. Like, this is a sport, right? No, that's just it's where it comes from. Now, and like dancing and stuff, absolutely. And people want to pretend like, oh, this isn't ballet, this isn't dancing. I hate that comparison because ballet is super, super difficult, incredibly difficult. If you ever see like the foot of a ballerina, there's plenty of pictures now. Like it's one of those things where ballerinas will post pictures of their just jacked up feet from standing on top of their toes. Like the amount of physical discipline it takes to be a ballerina is insane. There's a reason why NFL linemen take ballet, because the footwork of ballerinas is incredible. It's otherworldly. That's what their practice is. It's footwork. A little bit of hand stuff, I guess, with the twirling, but look at everything a ballerina is doing. It's all footwork. So you should want it to be like ballet. Right, Millie. Goodness, this is why I'm never doing anything like this without notes again. I'm not, because I'm so distracted by her. I'm so distracted, Millie. It's like dancing. So how is college and stuff? College is solid. College is solid. I like it. I'm enjoying my time. Read chat. I'm reading chat. I see you, buddy. I'm there. And I'm actually gonna pull up a couple of things here. Millie, you're just killing me. I'm gonna go back over chat and we'll look at it. No one cares if you hear Bone get fucked. Yeah, I edit this into a podcast later, so some people won't have the context of seeing my dog just slomping on a bone. Why? What are you trying to prove to me? She's so mean. He's done now. He wants to come curl up underneath me now. I'll go outside and look at stuff. I'm going to look at my coffee. I'm probably not going to clip any of that first part out into the pod. I haven't quite decided yet. There's a couple of things that I definitely want to touch on. I think I have 3 in general that I want to touch on, and it's how I enjoyed playing the wrestling, the incredibly average wrestling video games that they've given us. The Triple H NXT run. You probably don't know what I'm talking about, Lawman, but we'll get there. And the Big Swole, Tony Khan, everything, which is not going to be as juicy as you think. It's really not. I don't have any deep analysis there quite yet because it's a time of listening and watching with that particular incident. So, with the things that I had mentioned before about the origins of wrestling and where they come from, how could you not consider it a sport now? Where when people think of a sport, they think of 2 people competing against each other in direct competition. But again, like a dance competition, that's not direct competition. It's you dance, then I dance. And then who danced better. Wrestling is incredibly similar because, again, it's you have a match, I have a match. Usually the crowd and people, they can tell who had a better match. Of course there's a competition and there's a competitive nature there. Typically, and I can go on forever and rant about WWE, and I might. But when you have people who are having better matches than other people and who are performing at a higher level than other people, well, then they're going to be pushed higher up the card. Again, is that not competition? Is that not a competitive spirit? You know, of course it is. Of course it is. So just because professional wrestling has choreographed segments in their matches, sometimes entirely choreographed, sometimes as simple as mumbling something in someone's ear, can plan the next 20 or 30 minutes or what, I don't, you know. I'm exaggerating, obviously, but, you know, it's all just in what style do you like to apply to the art of wrestling? Very much like music. I've said this 1,000 times. There's some people who like to just play these, you know, put a sheet of music in front of them and play exactly what's on that sheet of music to a T. And then there's some people who just like to get together and be like, let's feel it out. Key A, let's see what happens. Wrestling's no different. You have a good example of someone would be Macho Man Randy Savage, who notoriously liked to plan out every single part of his match. Or someone like, I guess, and I really don't feel like bringing him up right now. I probably could think of a better example, but I have to right now. I got to talk about, you know, fucking Ric Flair, who I really don't want to talk about right now. But he was one that was famously, like, we'll call it in the ring, we'll figure it out. And as much as I can think about him personally, as a performer, one of the pioneers, one of the greatest, especially in that going long, just having long matches all the time, figuring it out as we go along. So, is that not art, and is that not a sport? That's why I love professional wrestling, because it has both of those things, art and sport, competition and creation. It's all of those things put together, which is why I really don't ever accept the argument of, well, wrestling is just fake, it's stupid, it's this, it's that. I can understand not liking it. I can understand someone seeing this and be like, I don't like this very much. But I won't accept that's just dumb fake fighting. Well, it's not. And it's about as dumb and as fake as everything else we watch. Reality TV included. So, take a break. Every time I start to talk, blow my nose. Every time I start to talk, my nose tickles. And I'm pulling back up my chat, Lawman. If you've talked, I haven't seen anything. What it do? Arius Nation. Hey, dude. All right, let's do something. So, Arius Nation's here. I want to talk about something. I think I may have told you about this once. I saw a video of yours. I'm gonna pull it up here. And when I saw it, it was one of those like brought a tear to my eye type of thing. So, what is it? I could just pull up here. There it is. Yeah, Embrace the Suck 21. Y'all got this fucking reaction channel that's got 45,000 subscribers. Got 500,000 views. I know. Me and Tyler were sitting around one day watching it. We were like, "What the fuck?" That guy. We didn't even know you were killing it like that. And we were I was looking through because I love Gary Cinnamon. I love Gary Cinnamon. My grandmother is from Scotland, so you know a lot of my heritage is from there. And seeing a Scottish guy playing in front of crowds that big. I remember loving the Disco Land compilation that he does, and especially the one that you guys reviewed. I'm going to pull it up. It's really good. But look at your channel. It's got the Maryland flag in the back. You're killing it, man. You're killing it. You got some really, really, really successful shit up there, and you guys deserve it. I'm going to pull up your channel right now. We're going to plug it. It's called, hold on, Small Face Cam. Nope, that's ending. Small Face Cam. Here he is. Embrace the Suck 21. The reason I love this man so much is he huddled with me in a tent in the cold once. Oh, I want to tell that story. I'll do it right now. Redneck Crew. Where's the Disco Land one? Look at this. Look at these view counts, man. You guys know what you're doing. You guys got a format here. Where's the profile picture? I'm gonna look at it and judge it, because if it's not good, I'll ask to make a better one for you for free. I'm just kidding. That's cool. All right. Well, I'll try to. There it is. Now it's Cantor. Not Cantor. Disco Land. There it is. And this only has 18,000 views,
Jerry
too.
Cinnamon. Yes.
Or is it Jerry? I call him Gary. Jerry. But it makes sense. Like, that's another one like Geoff. Like, looking like Jeff. So, like, Jerry or Gary. I feel like we're both right, even though someone's there. But yeah, so the guy on the right there, that handsome fella, he kept, we what? I'll play a little bit. I'll turn the volume down, just so you could see his beautiful face moving. So we played this festival called the Fallout Festival, and it was just somewhere in the woods. It was like these bikers. I can't remember exactly. It was somewhere in Pennsylvania, and they were a support club for the Hells Angels. They were like older one percenters, but they were one percenters. They were not to be fucked with. But after we were there for a little while, we realized like these people aren't gonna hurt us. Like they were actually there to kind of make us feel a little bit more secure. They had like food trucks and beer. Like they're pretty chill. So regardless of all the crimes and things, I just gotta put that out of my head. But I was there playing. It was my first gig with Wise Eyes actually, and Dan, you came with us, I believe. You rode up with us. Yes, you did. I remember this specific memory too. Our friend Sean, lead singer Wise Eyes, put the band Ween on in the van. And again, it just got really quiet. You know, it was a long enough drive. It was like 2.5, 3 hours almost. And it was just really quiet. And we were all just listening to Ween. I won't speak on. I know I was a little stoned at this point. Not everyone was smoking, so I don't want to throw the rest of the. You know, he was too. We weren't all. It was about like half and half in that van. People who did and didn't, and it's just really quiet. And I could kind of see your face. You're just like you're reacting. I could tell you're listening to this music. You're reacting to it. You're taking it in. You're like, okay, and. It finishes. Like we stopped listening to Ween. It was probably like 8 or 9 songs or something, and you kind of just like you hadn't said anything in a while, and you were just like, man, what the fuck was that? Like who was that we just listened to? What was that? And you were so just like taken by Ween, and I'll never forget that because Ween rules. It's like watching somebody absorb a band that I like that was really cool. I've not forgotten that. So that's a fun memory, but that's not even the main one. So right then, boom, I was like, I like this guy. You know, this was the first time we'd really hung out like this. So now the festival goes on, whatever we play, people get drunk, people get high, people get whatever. And then we go back and I had a tent. One of us had a tent. It was either mine or yours. I honestly can't remember whose tent it was. But I remember it just came down to like, it was way colder than any of us had expected it to be. And you got out there with me and you suffered through it with me. Like we were essentially like cuddling with each other in this frigid, it was like 20 degrees outside. We were sleeping on the ground. And I think where I laid the sleeping bag, there was like branches. And it was just horrible and terrible. Yeah, it was so cold. It was so cold. I remember even you were like, because you're a vet. I know you served active duty. And I remember you even kind of being like, I felt like I didn't want to bitch. When again, I was so much younger. Like I cared a lot more than people thought. And I was like, oh, I don't want to bitch in front of this super cool soldier. And I remember you being like, nah, man, fuck this. It sucks. This is cold. So Dan, I remember that. I really do. That trip is still big on my head. And when I saw you and your boy here, how successful you were, it made me really happy. Again, me and Tyler were like super jealous in the moment, but like a fun type of, you know, when you see your friend succeed. It was one of those. So good job, dude. And everyone check it. It's you can probably zoom in there. Embrace the Suck 21. And it's mainly reaction channel, but they have other fun things on here too. And they have, I mean, you guys don't need a shout out for me. I have 3 people watching. You guys have 500,000. So, no, good stuff. Good times. I hope you're doing well. I hope things are good in your world. Yeah, no, I feel like that's how a lot of these things work. Shit just pops off randomly, and you guys hit the algorithm. It's like catching a wave. You just got on the wave and you caught it. You know, like it is what it is. You guys are talking about things that people want to hear. That's just how it is. Americans react. That probably. Oh my God, yeah, like Stephen Fry in it. Yeah, I think your Americans react is your money there. So good for you, dude. And that's really good. Stick around. We're gonna do more Wrestle ranting here. Out of all the things Oasis popped you off, oh yeah, Oasis rules. Legit. Like I love Oasis. Is it true? Is there any footage of Noel Gallagher? Or was it Liam? Yeah, Liam throwing the things at Noel. Hold on, let me see if I can find that. Liam throws throwing things at Noel. Oh man. Was it? Oh, no, it's not here. I just remember here that like it was during. Who was it? It was one of the Unplugged or something, right? Where like Liam Gallagher wouldn't come out. It was at the like G-Max during. Like, yeah, like he was hanging up in the raft. He wouldn't come out. God, people keep texting me all the fucking time. Of course, when I'm out here being famous. Oh, it's for my daughter. So I need to get a sleeping bag sent in. Ugh. All right. Anyway, we'll continue onward because now we're finally gonna pop into it. So now that I've given some, I guess, a little context to wrestling and how it makes me feel, let me tell you about my favorite period of wrestling. So NXT take over Dallas. This was the one. All right, pull it up here. 5 matches. Boom. This card fucked. This card fucked. So, do I have a fave of all time in a wrestler? Holy, yes. Thank you. Okay, I'll answer that question then before I continue on. And give me a moment to think about it because it goes by. You know, it sort of goes by eras. It sort of goes by like I have to sit and I have to think about that one because that's very difficult. My favorite wrestler. I think it has to be this man. There he is. I think it's got to be Kazuchi Okada. This fella, this handsome son of a bitch right here. Kazuchika Okada. Who I'll pull him up here. Okay, so we'll start that. My favorite wrestler. That's good, and I could clip this into the pod. I appreciate that. My favorite of all time is I'm gonna put is Kazuchika Okada. So the reason being is that I love most of the wrestling I watch is American professional wrestling. AEW, NXT for a time. I don't really watch that anymore. Same with WWE. Ring of Honor, which no longer exists in the form we think, Impact. That kind of things. But the first time I ever really began to love professional wrestling as, again, the art form, not the whole, I love this TV show. This is a fun TV show. The first time I ever was like, wrestling is an art to be followed, and it is an art form that rewards people that pay attention. It's the matches that Kazuchika Okada has put forward, especially his trio of 4 matches now with Kenny Omega, who I love, but Kenny Omega is not my favorite. It's Kazuchika Okada. The Okada Omega 1 match from Wrestle Kingdom 11, which I can actually pull up. Okada v Omega 1 highlights. And we can just kind of turn these off and you can see some, yes, this match right here. I think, no, this isn't the one. King 11 highlights. I don't know if this is the one. This might be it. I think that's the Wrestle Kingdom. I thought he came in the Wrestle. I don't know. A lot of people take. Well, this may be footage from it, but my favorite match. I don't think this is it. It depends. Nah, this is the one that went to a draw, I think, right? Yeah, I can't find it. So this one was incredible too. So this was, I'll play this little highlight package then when we talk about it. My favorite match was the one that came before this. Kazuchika Okada versus Kenny Omega 1. They had 4 matches in total. It told a pretty incredible story across all of them, and it's a good example of why Kazuchika Okada is the absolute greatest of all time. In their first encounter here, well, actually, this is the second one. So in their first encounter, Kazuchika Okada was the world champion, and Kenny Omega had won the G1 Climax tournament, which is sort of, starts off as, two groups that fight in a round robin, fight each other once each, and then the champions of each block face each other in a championship. The winner of that kind of main events Wrestle Kingdom, the, I guess, Japanese equivalent to WrestleMania. And Kenny Omega, the Canadian here, was the first Gaijin foreigner to ever win it, which I believe was a pretty big deal. And he went on to face Okada at Wrestle Kingdom, or Wrestle Kingdom 11. And a lot of people argued that match changed the landscape of wrestling as we know it. And I argue, yes, it did. I think that match led directly into the creation of AEW. And I don't want to shortchange the impact that the Omega Chris Jericho match had the next year, I think it was. Because that really was that took it to the next level. But the Okada Omega 1 match is what got me into professional wrestling full-heartedly. I mean, I was in. It was the greatest it was just the best storytelling I'd ever seen. I'm talking like through movies, books. It was telling a story that I was able to follow, watching them, just the way they would attack limbs, the way they would sell, everything they were doing led into the next. Every action that was taken into the ring led into the next. Everything they were doing led to the outcome. And then the 4 outcomes total really equal a great story. We'll go over them here. So Okada beats Omega in the first match, in what a lot of people considered the greatest wrestling match of all time at that point. I still agree. It's still top for me. Nothing has topped that since. And there's even matches that have gotten better ratings. I don't think anything in the last ever tops Okada Omega 1. And I understand, like, not knowing enough to say anything intelligent. Dude, professional wrestling is a very big, wide, vast, open world that is so fun to explore. So if you think you see something you like, just look into it more. That's it. Watch a match. Watch a promo. Simple as that. But, and I promise, it's very rewarding. watching WWE, I try to caution against it because and they themselves claim to not be professional wrestling. They straight up say they're not. So just like understand that going in. It's like if Disney really sucked. Like I understand, Disney owning Star Wars and excuse me, Disney owning Star Wars and The Simpsons and Fox and just the Marvel MCU. It can kind of suck sometimes, but they put out pretty competent stuff that's good, while a little clean, and it doesn't take any risks. It's good. WWE is the same way, except their stuff is terrible. I'm not trying to knock their performers, because you can get the best actors in the world. The Nacho Libre Escato duo, yeah, of course. I like Nacho Libre. It's a funny movie. But yeah, so I got sidetracked. But so the story, because again, it's like it's almost like a sports story. New Japan tells things very sports oriented. That's how I like my wrestling. I understand it isn't real, but I enjoy it sports oriented. I like that a winner and a loser matters. I like how winners go on to win championships, losers fall down, and there's stories of them, kind of reclaiming their glory. Pause that. I pull up this picture of Okada. So all of those things are there. And in the first match, as good as it was, Okada wins. Rainmaker. 1, 2, 3. And I saw that match, and I was like, oh my God. This is the coolest thing in the world. This is the coolest thing in the world. Professional wrestling is the coolest thing in the world forever, and I was hooked from that match. That match brought me into the world. I had always been an outlier. I'd watched WWE. I really liked it. I've been to some indies. I'd been to Ring of Honor. That match right there brought me in. Then they have a second match at the next biggest thing, at Dominion, which was in the summer, which goes to a time limit draw, 60 minutes. They wrestled for 60 minutes, and there was no winner, which doesn't happen as much. I mean, I guess maybe it happened a long time. I'm kind of talking out of school there, but so that's something that happens a lot. And for all 60 of those minutes, I remember being drawn in and being like, holy shit, this is incredible. It's incredible. So then you tell the story of the first match, this guy, incredible performance. He couldn't beat the champ. He gets another shot at him, and he takes him all the way to a draw. Kind of like Rocky, They face each other a third time in the next year's G1 Climax tournament, where Okada is still the champion. The champion takes place, is in the tournament. It's kind of weird, since it's a round robin, though. Like, if the champion ultimately ends up winning the tournament, the stipulation is that they get to choose their own opponent at Wrestle Kingdom, if I'm not mistaken. And I don't know if the champions ever won. I'd have to look that up. So they end up getting matched with each other in the G1 tournament that next year. And in that clash, which had a 30-minute time limit, Kenny Omega wins. It's not for the title, though. It's not for the title. But Okada is the champion. Omega is not. And Omega beats him in the middle of the ring with his move. So it's 1-1-1 now. You've had 3 matches. And you can usually end a feud at 3. A trilogy. There's been great trilogies of matches. You still have some juice here. And because in New Japan, if you pin the champion, unless you're Toru Yano and Yano someone, you're probably going to get a title shot. And ultimately, he does. At the next Dominion. I don't believe it was at Wrestle. No, it wasn't Wrestle Kingdom 14. I can't remember, actually. Wrestle Kingdom 14? Was it? No, because Kenny Omega faced Tanahashi there, I believe. No, excuse me. So 13, was it? 13. I'm getting my years all mixed up. So, right, so it was before. So Kenny Omega won it. Not at New Year's Dash. Not a Fantastic Mania. Not then. I can't remember when he won it. Where did Kenny Omega win the IWGP title? I'll just look up the IWGP Heavyweight Championship because I want to know. It's going to bother me. Kenny Omega won it at... Oh, okay. So he won it at... So 2 years... No, a year later. At this Dominion. So at the previous year's Dominion, Kenny Omega lost... Yeah. It went to an hour draw, and then the next year... All right, good. So I have that up. So, yes, the fourth match, after they go 1-1 each time, they finally like, fine, no time limit, no nothing, 2 out of 3 falls, which is, you know, the first person to gain 2 pinfalls or submissions wins the match. Arius Nation, thank you for your gifting of a subscription. I really appreciate that. I appreciate you here. And if you want, go ahead and join the Discord. We're always doing stuff in there. Sometimes I game. Since I've been back in college, I've been a lot... what the fuck, chatbot? There it is. I'm very busy. I haven't been able to do this much, but we're going to be picking up the schedule soon. Hopefully. Or maybe not. I don't know. But then I've really split this up, and it hasn't been very cohesive. But again, you have 4 matches over the course of about a year and a half. And every moment... And there's about... 2-hour-long matches. So this is about 3 hours. And see you later, man. If you get a chance to listen back to this, check out the VID. Awesome. If not, it was great having you here while you were. But that's almost 3 or 4 hours of content right there. That's like a Godfather type movie. And every twist and turn, if you watch them all back to back to back to back, would tell this very, very cohesive story about 2 people struggling for something. In this case, the IWGP Heavyweight Championship. Burp. So that's that. That is why Kazuchi Okada is my favorite wrestler. And that's... I could talk about other things too, but like that particular quadrilogy... Quadrality, I don't know how you say it. I'm going to be a terrible English teacher. But, you know what I mean. That series of matches... is just like the big bing, bing, bing. Like, this guy's the greatest ever. And he is. I truly think Okada's the greatest ever. And he recently won back the IWGP Heavyweight Championship. So I may have a reason to start watching New Japan again. Because the king is back, baby. So that is my favorite wrestler. And I was happy to tell you all about it. Now, let me tell you about my favorite run of wrestling then. I do want to talk about this because it's very, very, very pertinent. That's the right fucking way to use that word. I use words wrong all the time. Pertinent. Be important, right? Or like should be talked about. I don't know. Look at that. Cap Nam is a sub now. Little subby boy. Yes. Wait my notes here. So my favorite run of wrestling ever for any company was 2015 to 2018 NXT. Papa H. He delivered. So I've made it no secret that I am a tremendous fan of AEW. I am. I can't run it, can't hide from it. I am. I have it as I'll show you all here. Background of my phone. So if you want to refer to me as an A drone, A dub drone, whatever, I accept that because I don't enjoy WWE and I have picked a side here in a quote unquote wrestling war, and that's fine. But AEW is not my favorite run of wrestling ever. I love what I'm watching right now. I really do love it, and I think it's bigger, it's more successful, it's got a wider reach. But for my personal tastes, 2015 to 2016 NXT was just chef's kiss. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. The biggest event And I didn't watch TakeOver London, and that was in 2015. So I was kind of, I guess it would be more accurate than to say 2016 to 2018 NXT. But I'd been kind of watching the TV up to this point. I went back and I watched this. So I kind of was here, but I wasn't really into it. Let me see. Like TakeOver Respect, I didn't watch. So all right, it's fair to say I watched the entire build-up. So essentially, right after, I remember kind of starting to tune in when TakeOver London was starting, and then for TakeOver Dallas, I was all in. So okay, we'll say 2016 to 2018, that 2-year period. But I do acknowledge that the 2015 that I wasn't really watching is pretty much the same, and the quality is just as good. So Papa H gets my credit there. I started watching Raw and SmackDown, and as much as I enjoyed what I was seeing, and yeah, go ahead and lurk and play Valorant, dude. This is kind of what these are for. You listen to a podcast, you should be able to listen and enjoy it. But I liked what I was watching. It was really fun. But man, 3 hours on Monday, and then it eventually became Tuesday, 2 hours, but then 2 hours on Friday. They were long shows. And they weren't always all great. So it was just kind of getting tiring. And I would also feel sad if I missed, because that was my wrestling for the week, And I have a tough time, like, wall tuning for half a Raw. If I was going to sit down and watch it, again, I'm not like this anymore, but if I was going to sit down and watch it, well, I'm going to want to sit down and watch all of it. So that's what I ultimately ended up doing. But then I've discovered on the WWE Network this little program called NXT. And I'd always known about FCW, especially from my original run of fandom, which was in like the late 2000s. I just started I knew what FCW was. I knew what developmental was. I was just kind of getting into those like mark boards just a little bit right before I took like a really long break from like 2010, 10 to like 15, like 5-year break. But it was actually less than an hour, too. It was about 45 minutes, 50 minutes. There was this show that was really easy to watch that came on every single Wednesday, that featured new talent every single week, that had just easy to follow, conducive storytelling. And I was hooked. That was my weekly wrestling destination. It was every single Wednesday. I'd tune in. It didn't matter to me that it wasn't live, because it was just so tightly produced and made. I loved the environment. And again, I wasn't really as familiar with the concept of studio wrestling, which now I love. Like AEW Dark is one of my favorite shows. Impact Wrestling, I think, is great. I love the small... I love keeping TV kind of small to a point. At least certain parts of it. Because again, I love tuning into Dynamite and seeing the big crowds. But I think studio, like small venue wrestling for short matches and character development, I think that's, if you're going to have a wrestling promotion that has, more than one TV show, you should have a show like that. But that's all NXT was. Because it was, again, it just sort of, it was another branch of WWE. So it sort of was just kind of filling that role. Except it had its own roster and own championships and own stories and stuff. That hour every week became the easiest hour for me to watch. And the stories were good. Simple. About competitors competing and wanting to win. With things thrown on top of it. Of course, I think it's okay to have a little bells and whistles and spooky things, and that's okay. It really is okay, but this was professional wrestling. And I remember how much hope it gave me, because it was like, this is what the future is. Triple H, who I count me among the people that believed that he was going to be the heir apparent to all of WWE, that he was going to be Vince one day, as silly and as, not understanding of business and corporate culture as I was at the time, still not really, but enough to know that Triple H was never going to be the successor, ever. He just isn't. He's a wrestler. He's a wrestling guy. And I'm not really trying to knock him there. I'm just saying that that's how he seems like he's viewed by these corporate types, Just a wrestler, when he's putting on the best wrestling promotion in North America, and he did that for 2 years until AEW came around. And even when AEW came around, like if they just let him keep doing what he was doing, it would have still like just been as good, if sometimes better. And this is where I want to get into my feelings on Triple H, as he's very easy to kind of poke fun at in that mark sense. I hate using that word like that, but I can't think of a better one. That golden shovel, 4 out of 10 Triple H, which I don't agree with those assessments of Triple H. I think he's awesome. I think he's put on some of the best TV matches in North America, some of the better feuds, some of the better character work. Sure, I can agree that he was in a pretty advantageous position with who he was married to. That is what it is. It's who he married. They're still together. They seem like they really, really love each other. Like, as much as you want to say, quote unquote, slap his way to the top or whatever, I mean, that's just who he loves. It's who he has children and a family with. And it happens to be Vince McMahon's daughter. But you see how much that fucking matters? Our boy Trips has to go to the hospital for a cardiac event, which I hope he's okay. He hasn't really been seen much publicly since that. And then, like, while he's laid up in the hospital, not really for the whole time, I am greatly exaggerating here, but pretty much undoes everything that he's ever done with NXT. Just completely does it, undoes it. With Braun Breaker winning the title last night, smashing his foot through the X, like, it just seems like he tore it all down when the guy wasn't there to defend it. And I see this sort of hate for Triple H kind of because of that. When isn't there a large body of work that shows that he wasn't like that? When he was given control. And I understand everything in the company goes through Vince, right? Vince could have come down and shut everything down in NXT and did it, but he didn't. You can tell that he didn't. His fingerprints were nowhere near the black and gold NXT product for the most part until they went live. When he was given the opportunity, Triple H was the apple of the wrestling fan's eye. Didn't Squared Circle send him a fucking fruit basket? And then all of a sudden they want to pretend like he was never that good when AEW comes into town. That's not fair. That's not fair at all. He did nothing but prove that he loves professional wrestling and he wants it to succeed. Triple H did nothing but prove that he loves wrestling. Ever. Anytime he was in a program. There's some shitty programs he was in. The Booker T one. That one sucked. Should have done that. Wrong guy won. You could have done everything. You know what I mean? Like, he's not going to be perfect. I understand that. The Reign of Terror. Some parts were good. And I don't like Goldberg, so I could give a fuck, if he did I like it, but like there's things you could point to, be like, okay, that was not great. But man, when you're in the industry for that long, like people want to pretend everything Steve Austin did was perfect when he had a 5-year run at the top, which was white hot, incredible. So much so that he was able to get away with, brutalizing his wife without any real consequences there. That's the kind of power that a hot wrestler run will buy you. But what was he doing before that? He was the fucking ringmaster, and he was stunning Steve Austin. Again, all good stuff. I enjoyed the matches with Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. If you go back and look at them, they're good. He was in the most famous War Games match ever. He's good there. Stunning Steve Austin was good. And then he had this 5-year incredible run at the top. Where his knees were quote unquote mashed potatoes. So I feel like it's very subjective. But to sit here and try to spin the narrative that Triple H was never good, he only worked with people who are over, I don't believe that's a fair assessment at all. And before we continue, we have a new chatter here. So JC the King 37, hello, how are you doing? And I'm doing fine. You've come into the midst of a chat about professional wrestling, so come make yourself comfortable. You can ask any questions you like. I'll get to them, either immediately or otherwise. Right now, I'm defending the King of Kings, Triple H, and telling people why I admitted it, but 2015 to 2018 NXT is the best run of wrestling in recent memory. But yeah, I'm doing good. I'm gabagooling. So you capitalize a lot for someone chatting on Twitch. So I'm apprehensive to believe that you're a real person. But yeah, we'll get there when we get there. When you type something else and actually you prove that you're real. Prove it and talk to me. But anyway, back to what we were saying. So, all right, off work, chilling out. That's good. If you'd like, join us here on the Discordio. So you know when I'm going live. I don't go live very much. I'm a father of two, recently going back to college, so I am swamped. So I try to do one of these at least once or twice a month for the time being, at least until things settle down a little more. And then I try to release regular content. All right, I trust you. Now I trust you. Good enough. Or even if you're an AI that is talking to me, that's good enough though, because then you would be. Then I'm talking to you. You know what I mean? So it's good enough. So you're either a really awesome AI or a real person. That's good enough for me. So welcome to the channel, my friend. And if you want, tell me what brought you here, why you're here, if it's just random, if you saw any of the tags that interested you. Is there any questions you'd like? An open book. Keep it, I guess, appropriate. Well, you can keep it inappropriate. I just won't answer if I don't like the question. But moving forward. So, yeah, there seems to be this group Mandela type effect with Triple H and how he was never actually good. Because they heard that Bret Hart interview clip, which is hilarious, by the way. We'll up the Bret Hart 4 out of 10. Bret Hart 4 out of 10. Yeah, it's hilarious because I love Bret Hart. I love Bret Hart. Where is he? I think Triple H was a 4 out of 10.
TV is sponsored by the online home of wrestling tickets, ringsideworld.co.
Those videos then went viral around the world. Some controversial comments about Triple H, about his ability as a wrestler. Those videos then went viral around the world. And actually, the program with that interview on aired on the night of the 2013 Royal Rumble. So a couple of hours afterwards, you were
cool, JC.
at a WWE event. So I'm just wondering, given the furore
I'll tell you in a
caused
minute.
in the weeks ahead, did you suffer any backlash from WWE?
I don't think so. I frankly don't think Triple H or WWF or WWE or Vince McMahon or anybody, I don't think they worry too much about what I say or what I think even.
Yes.
But in light of what I said about Triple H, I mean, it's been sort of a little bit misunderstood. I think Triple H is a very capable and formidable wrestler, and I'm sure he's had some great matches. What I really was trying to say that day was that I was in.
I'm sure he's had some great matches. I
started
fucking love Bret.
Putting their match together, and I remember I had this.
This is Triple H and
Brock Lesnar.
Oh, Brock Lesnar, excuse me. Yeah.
I wanted to go over and give him some ideas and some suggestions about things I thought that could make their match better.
Why wouldn't you? You're Bret fucking Hart.
I could vision what the match was going to be, and I thought they need to do something a little different, a little better than that. And I just was a little disappointed in myself in a way because I wanted to go over and talk to them and give them.
Pause. That game WWE Immortals did not come out and was canceled. So anyway, you kind of get the point there. So may I ask who or what a Triple H is? Triple H is a professional wrestler. You've probably seen him. Let me pull it up here. Triple H. So this is a variety stream, but I'm doing a show sort of on my love of professional wrestling today. This fella. There's an older picture of him, but you probably him. Yeah! 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 There. Ooh. Ah! That's Triple H. But I think it's neat that you're scrolling around and found me. So, yeah, a lot of people have seen him before. If you're not a wrestling fan, it's hard to make you believe that you know who he is. But a lot of people can argue that Triple H is a bit of a dingus, and I don't, in terms of his ability to book professional wrestling. But we're kind of talking about it. But since we have a new viewer here, yeah. So that's why I don't know him. It's okay. JC the King. JC, we'll call you for short because you seem like a good guy. I want to take this time and we can cater the show now to you. As you can tell, nobody watches this. I've been streaming for a long time to pretty much no one, and it's great. I have nothing to worry about. And the moment I think the moment that more than like 10 or 11 people at a time ever watch me, I'll just like wear a mask and change my name or something. Not do this anymore. So, but what were you just scrolling around, just chatting? How's that work? Because I don't even really understand for the most part. Just chatting. I guess with the appeal. I guess maybe recently I just started getting into it. There's a couple of streamers who I like, but I like their clips more than anything. So I don't know. Yeah, so much for a fucking Wrestle rant. I had the energy to talk about pro wrestling, but now I just want to talk about stuff and things in the world. So anything. I'll talk about anything at all. No. I'm going to have to turn my heat back on here in a second. I turned it off because I have like a vent right there. Literally right in front of me. And it makes quite a noise. But I'm starting to realize now my PC also makes a bit of a noise when it's going. So, I don't know. Screw it. Well, I'm just lonely, so I'll usually go on chatting and be, but that's sad. What makes you lonely? We can talk about that. Why are you lonely? I'm here, so you're not lonely. So I'm a real guy who you're having a conversation with, but or is it chronic loneliness, or is it just today? Because I get that way. Except this is the first day I've had alone in feels like weeks. And before that, it's been, like months because I have 2 kids and been primary caregiver while my wife goes out and works her hands to the bones. But, it's not pathetic. I mean, how much more pathetic am I than you comparatively sitting here broadcasting to no one? I don't think that's pathetic. You're a human being striving for connection. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think it's beautiful, actually. You're making an attempt. Like saying, I'm lonely. Let me try to fix it. I give you props there, man. I've been in spots like that where I'm content to wallow in my own sadness and my own loneliness. At least you tried. Right, I think that's pretty commendable of you. So, head up. My friends. Oh, that's rough. It's rough. Thousands of miles away. Is it, because again, I'm good with, we don't need to share any big personal things. Anonymity on the internet's pretty great. I don't have that right now. Obviously, I'm putting my face and my name out here, but I respect that. So you don't have to give away too much, but is it a temporary reason that you're 1,000 miles away, or is it permanent? Like, are you permanently sort of removed from your center, from the center of your world? Because if it's a temporary thing, I'm good. Glad you don't book. I am for the most part too. But friends close to thousands of miles away, and that's especially if you're in a different country, which is hard. But I can't, because it could be I'm in the East Coast of the U.S., so West Coast of the U.S. is 1,600 miles, right? Something like that, coast to coast. I have no idea. I'm shitty with measurements, but my fucked up arm. Military. And if I do get stationed back at home, I'm too busy to spend time with people I'm close to. Okay. You don't need to get, I don't want to ask too much, but, so tell me more in the Discord if you'd like. But do you enjoy the military? Do you like what you do? Is it, because I'll tell you this, I'll give you like a personal kind of way I can relate to military service. So again, I never served, but my grandfather Both my grandfathers did. Like there's a history in my family of it, and I remember when, but not like hardcore combat stuff. You know, my family, they were like engineers and mechanics and stuff. But I remember one point, again, I'm not a guy who would do well in the military. And I know that. I understand that. But I thought about it when I was younger, going into the Navy, because I was just directionless. I didn't know what I was going to do. And I remember talking to my dad about, well, let's go to a recruiter, let's go to the Navy. And he's like, Alex, let me tell you something. He's like, you want to join the military right now because you want to run away from home. And I get that. He was like, you don't want to, you're not looking to stick the middle fingers up at us and say, fuck you, I'm leaving forever. He was like, but dude, you want to run away from home. You want to leave home. And he's like, let me tell you something. You're going to enjoy it for the first 2 or 3 months. And then you're going to realize you want to come back home. And then you'll further realize that you can't because they own your asses for another 3.5 years. He was like, think about that. Like, you're not running away. Like, you're going to give your life to an organization that will control pretty much every aspect of your life. And you're in it. So I'm not trying to be like, it's this evil, all-controlling corporation. But I understood what he meant. He's like, it's very all-consuming. And he talked me out of it by saying, like, look, dude, you're going to want to come home. He's like, I know you. You're going to want to come home, and you'll realize that you can't. And he was right. And I'm glad I never joined. It's not conducive to just how I am, my learning. But that's just my only, like, that's my experience with it. Let me read some of the chats from the military. And it's good that you enjoy what you do. I've always been a loader and just do well by myself, but sometimes I just want to talk. Brother, or sister, I totally get that. I totally get that. It's kind of why I do this or why I podcast. It's because I love talking. I just love talking to people. I think you like, again, you don't like being alone, but you just like some solitude. And I get that so much because solitude is great when you just have you to think about and you to worry about and you to manage the feelings of. Managing the feelings of others could be stressful, even though it's not always necessary. We try to manage the feelings of others too much, myself included. Thinking that, like, we're a burden or an annoyance or shouldn't be around. Like, we do that so much, and then when you're by yourself and you don't have to worry about those things, there's like a big weight taken off of you. If we would just take that weight off of ourselves, that whole, oh, I bother people, or we'd all be a lot happier. And the people who do that, I admire them very much. But I can appreciate you want to be a loner, but you reached out and talked to me, and hey, I'll always talk back because there's no one else here, and there very rarely is. So yeah, that's good. Twitch is an interesting place for conversations between strangers and I don't know, even like chats. Because I realize there's also like a chat meta. Because occasionally I have 2 lovely mods, Captain Nom and Lawman, very wildly different. I think Captain Nom thinks it's adorable too, because it's like Captain Nom's obviously like older than Lawman, and Lawman it's sometimes difficult to understand what he's typing because he's a Belgian native typing in his second language. So like again, theirs is very wholesome. Like the back and forth that they have is very just 2 different people united under a love of watching yours truly, but also being a part of my keeping my community safe. I get a kick out of that. So I get that. Just wanted to talk. Just wanting to know that another person is here. I was reading in my history textbook the other day after listening to a lecture from my professor. They were talking about like, cave paintings and like hand tracing and what that comes from. And it comes from that natural human instinct to just be like, I was here. And I want you to know that I was here, person who is coming after me. I was here. Acknowledge that I was here. So let's just see what you got here. I definitely enjoy my job. Most of the time it's too stressful to have my kind. Says I'm in charge of other people's health 20%. Yeah. Let's see. I enjoy my job. Most of the time it's too stressful to have. True. another one is when you're, and I'm taking it. You're in healthcare, or just care. I understand that. I was an EMT for a bit. 4 years of my life, I was an EMT. I was even in paramedic school, but kind of briefly. I really didn't get to the program, but I was taking the prereqs and stuff. College by my house has a really good paramedic program. The community college by my house fucking rules. I'm actually shy. I go to Anne Arundel Community College. They're awesome. Like, college is, when people say college is a scam, it's not. It's the tuition's a scam. Like, what it costs is a real fucking scam. But AACC, man, I'll give them some credit for being really, and I pay out of pocket. And I live if you live in the county and pay out of pocket, it's pretty damn affordable, all things considered. So this is my advertisement for the college I go to, but it's pretty great. But yeah, being in charge of people's health is just, here's how you can, giving advice on things like this is always like, it's weird because you can't tell someone who's living through it what to do. And you can only imagine. Because for me, and somebody told me this, I always thought it'd be interesting. Dude, it's fun as hell. If you join a volunteer fire department, they train you up for free. You get to go ride around, feel like a hero. Oh, God, it's so cool. Riding the wee-woo up and down the street. It's cool. It's really cool. It's really, really, really cool. And it's free. And everyone could do it. So, if you ever get the inkling, that's one of those things that's attainable. That's as attainable as literally doing what I'm doing here. I wanted to be a radio host. Radio station weren't going to hire me because I wasn't going to college for that nonsense. So look at me now. You can't stop me. I'm broadcasting to you. I'm in your face. I'm in your mind. But yeah, it's incredibly attainable. Just go do it. If you want to be a firefighter, you don't have to be hired. Go volunteer. It's great to get paid. It's great to be a career firefighter, but you don't have to. You don't have to. If you want to do it in your time, and to a point, your time, because remember this though, if you ever want to get into a volunteer, I'll share a combat medic. Yeah, it's basically the same shit. Except you get to do the cool shit. You get to ride. Dude, riding in the rig is the real fun part. The wee down the street with the shit. That's like the fun that you don't get as a combat medic. You gotta run and under fire and all that. You gotta deal with that bullshit and stress. When you're an EMT, man, you're just kicking back in the wee woo waiting to get to the catastrophe. And it's awesome. It's awesome. I loved that so much. That is a power trip. Being in and I've never driven. I didn't take my emergency vehicle operator course, my EVOC, but I did. I'd always ride. I was the patient care tech, and I was a full second. Like, I didn't have to have anybody in there with me. I would be the only person in the back caring for the patient, and I'd be the navigator. You know, essentially like sitting in the officer's seat. That was just fun. Flipping through the map book and sirens going. You're slamming the horn, and it's everything that you could imagine that would be. I feel like you see me smiling thinking about it. Like, it's still fun. I would never do it again. I'm done. I am out, and I never want to go back. But that's just for me. It's just I did enough. I burned myself out. You know, I've ran enough EMT calls for a lifetime. Right, mystery phone. That's right, mystery phone. Yeah, dude, if you're a combat medic, go take your EMTB. You could also score a job as a private ambulance provider. That's easy. That's just picking up people from the hospital and taking them to the other hospitals. That was a sweet gig. You don't get paid super great, but especially if you get your paramedic license, because you're a medic. You know how to start as a beer anyway. City loved it. Yeah, it's fun. And I'm assuming, this is a dumb question, but I'm still going to ask it. As a combat medic, you know how to start lines and stuff, right? Like, you can actually run like medications. That's like the biggest. And I'm sure you've used like thumper boards. I'm sure you know how to use it. Heart monitors. You're pretty much ready made. Like, you got to go just take your state's EMT class, which is about 160 hours. It takes a little time, but it's worth it, and it's so much fun. Like, the culture of a fire department, it goes up and down. It all depends on the firehouse you're at. I think there are some, and this was I left the fire department in 2011, so I have 2012. General care physician, hell yeah, we need you. And whether you're an American or not, whether your world needs doctors, because the health care systems across the world are getting pummeled right now, and there's people quitting left and right with good reason, because we clapped it up for them for a couple of months there, and then now, you know, half the people are motherfucking doctors when they go and see them. So I commend that. It's one kind of the reason why I wanted to get into teaching, which is what I'm in college for now, almost 30. I'm not from the US, I'm from France. Okay, cool. Oh, I'm sorry. I have to do that's less of a fresh accent. That's like more of a Quebec accent. No, but that's great. I've always wanted to visit France. So neat. And yeah, I don't know how it works. I don't know how your volunteer system works there. But like here in the US, like you could be a volunteer EMT, or you could be some stations are like half career or half volunteer. Where I live in the United States, I live on the East Coast, just outside of Baltimore. So that's cool. English is great, but I guess and you know what I do notice when somebody who doesn't, so in certain places, right? Like lawman, sorry, brother, you don't count, because I don't know what fucking language they speak in Belgium. I don't know what they're teaching you all up there with English. But like I've noticed in non-English speaking countries, when they do typing, like non-English speaking countries where English is still pretty prevalent, online the sentence, because your sentences are very, like, that's why I thought you weren't real at first. They're very well like typed out and structured. And I notice a lot of people who use English as their first language when they're online, they're essentially using leet speak. Like it's almost like another language. It's like a deep slang, and you have very like well thought, like well written paragraphs that are actually pretty easy to read. And I've been noticing that. It's kind of the fun part about Twitch. Is like, where's someone from? Because I knew you weren't from the U.S. I could tell. I was like, from somewhere else. But I think that's super cool. And I love sharing our culture too. Because contrary to what some people say, America's not some broken hellscape. I mean, it sucks, but everywhere sucks. The world sucks right now. So, our healthcare. Oh, the healthcare. I could go every American you talk to them about healthcare, because they can go on for a long fucking time. So. No Rona, I promise. Even though everyone around me has it. Look at that, giving me freaking facts. Belgium actually has 3 official languages: German, Dutch, and French. So it depends where you're from in Belgium. That's interesting. One of my mods here, the OG mod, Lawman. He's from Belgium, so I'll talk to him about that. It's very interesting, because I think it's pretty cool that he probably knows all that, and then he knows English. And if you, hopefully, I hope you stay around. I hope I see more of you. I hope you hang out in our. I may have posted the Discord. If I haven't, I'll do it again. Oh yeah, it's up top there. I'll do it one time though. Hope you join. I hope you come back. Really, we have a nice little community here. And I also do like requests. If you want to see a certain game reviewed or played, when I have more time and I'm a little more light on my college work, I'll be doing it. So, but yeah, that's pretty righteous. That's pretty cool. I like to. That's one of the coolest things I think about Twitch is being watched. I've been a performer all my life, and I've performed for the locals, mainly just people in my country. So yeah, English is my third language, so I may kind of suck at times, says the guy I could go through all of your writing here, and it's immaculate. Like it's structured well. You know, yeah, it's actually pretty excellent. I'm not even going to add like an all things considered there. Like, nah, your English is pretty excellent from what I'm looking at. I'm jealous. I could speak just one language. A bit of Spanish. Spanish would be the one I'd want to do next, but I don't have much of an attention span, so I worry about that. this was going to be something else, this podcast, but it's not. And it's because a super cool guy called JC the King is here. So this could be a much more like smorgasbordy one, but I'm still going to cut it up into something fun. And eventually, I'm looking forward to doing the next stream on the... So maybe this is one you'll know a little bit more about. I've recently got into rally car racing through... I played this game called Art of Rally, which is amazing. And then I started playing this game called Dirt Rally 2.0, which is even more amazing. So I know that's much like that's a European thing, especially France. Like one of my favorite stages is the French stages in Dirt Rally. So if you know anything about that, we can talk. And what? Thank you. I learned my English in the UK. The sentence structure is still the same. English is English. When you're speaking it, absolutely. When you're speaking, like, you want to talk about, listen to a Scottish person talk, which I can understand the average Scottish person, because my grandmother was from Scotland, and she had the most Frankenstein of accents you could probably ever have. She lived in Scotland up until her early 20s, and then she immigrated to the U.S. to New Jersey. So I want you to try to imagine a Scottish woman with not only a Scottish accent, but a New Jersey accent. She had both. And the funniest story from that comes from my wife one time. It was at my aunt's wedding. And it was one of the first times my wife, my then girlfriend, and she's my wife, met my grandmother. Like, my grandma just kind of turned over the side and went, it wasn't at the wedding. It was at her house later, but it was like during the wedding stuff. She said, did you eat? I'm trying to do it like, did you eat? So what she's saying is, did you eat? Or did you guys eat? Simply put, in kind of Jersey, is, did you eat? Use. Use is a slang term for you guys. Yeah, saying petrol or pronouncing Z is Zed. Yeah, it's one that throws me off a lot whenever I hear someone be like, again, just like throw out Zed. Like, nah, it's Z. It's Z. Or like someone would be like, try to think, like there's like a Z and a suffix, and it was like Project Z. And someone said, I heard a British reviewer go, Project Z. And I'm just like, oh, no, stop. It's so British. But yeah, slang is a weird one. In the United States, I'm sure like anywhere else, but like slang is very broken up into regions, big time. Han is one that's big near me. Like, what's going on, Han? Near Baltimore. Everyone calls water water. Washing, wash. Like just. But yeah, the slang is rough. But it is very like. The slang on the East Coast of the United States is wildly different than the slang on the West Coast. And there's obviously things that are shared, but like, again, things like dude and like that's not really slang anymore. That's kind of like assimilated into regular language. If you really want to like break down modern slang that like these Zennials are doing, like I don't understand it, but I can understand that there's a big difference between regions. Yeah, slang's wild. Slang is wild. All right, spending time in the U.S. Where'd you spend time out in the U.S.? I'm curious. I'm sure you could tell me because you don't live there. I want to know what you saw. What do you think? I'm curious, Mr. France, because again, I'm not defensive of my country. I will point out all of its flaws. Just because I like living here, that doesn't mean I don't think we're deeply flawed, deeply flawed as a nation in so many ways. So many ways. It sucks that we have this. It almost seems like now you either have two halves. You have these groups of people who are like, yeah, fuck this country. It sucks. I want to watch it, and I want to watch the empire burn. And then you have the other half where it's just like, no, this is the greatest civilization ever raised, and you should, which is not true. You believe what you want there. It's just the facts. The facts. The facts speak for themselves there in terms of like relative to the time you were around. No, not even close to being the greatest civilization. No. Let's see. New York, Washington, D.C. D.C. makes sense. Pensacola. Yeah, Florida sucks. it's muggy and hot bullshit. And I guess the only people like living in Florida are people who've just had to deal with like snow their whole lives and cold, and they get to the first place that has warm weather. And they're like, this is great. Because you don't know real good weather until you've been to San Diego, California. And thank you for following CGE999. Say hello if you'd like. We're just having a nice chat here. Originally, this was a wrestling type chat, but our wonderful, our new French friend here has led the conversation in another direction. So before we continue on, CGE999, thank you for saying hello. Thank you for joining us. Okay, welcome in. And you can ask things too. You can look through. You love wrestling? Awesome! Go back and watch the VOD. Because again, it got thrown off by our new friend JC the King here, who I'm very glad he came along. He let me talk about some things that excited me very much. But let me. Why? So why you hear some? That's my dad. Give me one moment, okay? I promise. I'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. That was sorry. I appreciate. Oh no, wrong one. I even lost the mighty CGE in there. Sorry about that. But when you're you'll notice the theme of this is that when your parents call, always pick up the phone. It's always good too. So I will talk a little less about. I'll talk more about wrestling if CGE comes back. But yes, gotta listen to your parents. Gotta listen to your parents. And I'm glad you like wrestling. We'll talk about it more. But I think I've been to more states in the U.S. than most Americans. Yeah, absolutely. Especially if you're traveling. A lot of people stay in one spot, and travel gets expensive, and there's no time. People don't have time to travel. You'll notice this is that in places like France and shit, yeah, you get a lot of paid leave. A lot of vacation time you don't get here. I've never had a job that's at vacation pay, ever. I hope to. But I've never worked at a job that afforded a vacation. I think maybe one had a week, but you had to like earn it. You had to be there for like 2 years or something before you got your vacation time. That's pretty archaic. That's something I noticed. But so there's nothing nothing more. So I'm just gonna drink my water and my coffee here. Hopefully some other friends pop in here and want to talk, because I've been at it about an hour and a half, but I'm having some fun. I'm having some fun with this one, so I can't really think of anything to chop up. Because one thing when I'm going to it, like I didn't have any notes last time, but I knew what I was chopping the videos up into, and it was easier to like, all right, I'm gonna make this into the podcast. Now I have to go and actually look through my stream and see what parts are interesting, because all the wrestling stuff pretty much got thrown to the side when other people came in here. So. Also, in case you were wondering, the worst U.S. state, in my opinion, is a tie between Kansas and California. Ah, yeah, man, you get it. Nah, I drove through Kansas when I was on tour. And yeah, honorable mention is Florida. Why? Florida is just for people who don't know what. Like, Florida is for people who think they know what good weather is and they don't understand. And I was doing a bit before my dad called. Lewis Black is a very famous bit on California, and he's like, the easiest job in the world is being a weatherman in San Diego, California. Like, and now Lou with the weather. Lou, it's like, it's nice. Back to you. That's true. San Diego is the best weather I've ever experienced in my entire life. I was really taken aback by how nice it was there, and it was the summer. It was hot. I was like, oh. Every place we went was miserable and hot and muggy, and then we get there and it's like, what the fuck? It's so nice. It was so nice. So, top honorable mention is to Florida, though. Yeah, that's where I took my honeymoon, in Florida, near I think it was near St. Augustine, kind of like an hour south of Tampa. Just because my wife's boss at the time had like a beach house, and we didn't have like a ton of money, so we just stayed a week at her beach house and ate and drank and, had a good time. Never been to San Diego, and I want to go. Yeah, it's really, honestly, just go there just so you could sit in the weather and be like, wow, I did not know a place could be this nice. Not hot, not cold, just sunny, shiny. Yeah. Yes. DC, I live close to DC, so. I haven't been to the monuments and the museums forever, but that's where all of our friends and family from out of state would always want us to take them. So I burned myself out of those and went on 1,000 field trips to 1,000 monuments. And I also hate Nevada because, and also don't let me catch you here and don't let me catch you calling it Nevada. It's Nevada. I think it was. I'm just going off a meme that they have there. It's Nevada, not Nevada. And how'd you nearly die? Was it a little partying too hardying down in Las Vegas? Were your fragile French sensibilities broken by the mighty American debauchery? One can only hope that we delivered. Hello again. Here he is. So JC, meet Lawman. This is the guy right here. This is our Belgian boy. So we have a variable United Nations here. We have a Frenchman, a Belgian, and an American. Stung by a venomous scorpion in the desert. What the fuck? I would have left and never come back. You are yeah, fuck that. Fuck the desert. Even when I was out in Nevada, I didn't go to the desert. I was staying in Reno and working in Sparks. Just for some warehouse company, which I don't even want to get to. It just sucked. They gave me a raise from, get this, okay? I went from making $9 an hour to $10 an hour. And they sent me to Nevada for 2 months. Sucked. I had to be house. Jesus. Was it during like a military training exercise or something? Or I'm guess like, were you sent there? Did you do this traveling in your capacity as a member of the French military? Because I know, like, we have bases everywhere, so I guess I assume that, like, other countries do the same shit. Like, you know, the French will, yeah, I was stationed in Nevada, whatever. Again, I ain't talking over you, lol, man. You're a member of the channel, okay? You're a silent producer, the executive producer, lol, man. But now I got my Belgian boy, my French friend. Like we're rolling deep internationally here. Just got to get the Shaman Malik, man. Miss that guy. That's our fuck. I fuck this up every time because it's not Dubai, and I remember I'd always say Dubai and I'd be wrong. Isn't he from the United Arab Emirates? No. Fuck. Where is he from? Come back, Malik, so you could tell me for the 5th time. Oh. He had a nice steak dinner with a colonel. Oh, God. They probably talked so much shit about you. I'm sorry. Like, just knowing American sensibilities. Like, they probably took you out to that dinner and loved you, and then the moment you fucking left, they're like, that motherfucking French. That's just in my experiences with dealing with that type of person, but it also could have been very nice. But, yeah. There's just this. That steak dinner, you're making me hungry, man. I kind of want a steak dinner. Who's texting me now? I got some feedback. Ah, man. Oh yeah, I'm sure they do. There's such a just. Ugh. I don't know. I do get that smug American culture. I want to know why I got my exam back, my history exam, and it was an 88. See, that's the ice falling from the. Let's see. All right, I want feedback. Tell me why I got an 88. I want to know why. I didn't want that. An 88. I was almost an A. I worked really hard on that paper too, but I'll take it. I'll take it. Semester's me kicking my ass. The first thing he said was, Snarry, it's not snails. Are you fucking kidding me? Like, dude, that's how we operate. But that's a general thing where, like, the first thing, and look, I've been guilty of it, and I'm trying to be conscious, is that, like, Americans love to we're all in on the joke here, and, like, do stereotypical jokes, and it's just, it can be funny in the right context, but you really got to make sure. Yeah, an 88 is good, but I'm not going back to school to pass, man. I'm trying to go back to school to make the fucking dean's list, man. I'm going for all of it. I'm going for A's, man. And 88 is not an A. That's almost an A. That's a B plus. I don't want a B plus. I want an A. But it means I got to work harder on the next one. So it's okay. I'm going to be watching more of Dr. Tengwall's lectures today. He's great. Dr. David Tengwall. If you can search any of his lectures, they're they're actually very, very interesting. The ones I've been doing are pre-recorded in 1996, actually. But the fact that they're still so pertinent, I think I just used pertinent wrong yet. What the fuck? Try hard, goddamn right. I'm a try hard. If I'm going to be an educator of children, then I need to set the ultimate example. And for me, at 88, it's not good enough, man. I wanted 100% on that, and I did not get it. What are those emojis? Maddie Lude, Maddie. I love Twitch. Yeah, the first thing he said was sorry is not snail. That's just ignorant. Ignorance is just a regular character trait of many Americans, and it's disappointing. But yeah, oh, they hear your accent. Ha ha ha. Dude, I did it. I fucking did it. I did it at the beginning of this stream. You know, it was one of the first things I joked with you about. We're all, it's just built into us. Yeah, usually starting off with your surrender in World War II. You know what they don't like to talk about? They don't like to talk about the guts of the French resistance. That's just so willingly choosing to ignore fact. Oh, the French surrendered. No, they didn't. The French people got their shit together. The French resistance was one of the keys to the downfall of the Axis powers. Everyone thinks it was just Americans dropped a bunch of nukes and that was the end of it. Again, ignorance. That's why I want to teach history and learn history. Because it's just wrong. It's just wrong. I get so pissed off when I hear the whole America is the greatest civilization ever. It's just not. Even if you like it here. And I like it here. I like us. America's my home team. I don't like being told, if you don't like this country, leave it. I love this place. I want it to be better. But to sit there and say we're the greatest civilization is just not correct. We haven't put in the time, and it doesn't look like we're going to have the time. We're not going to last as long as the Roman Empire. Even Mesopotamia or ancient Egypt. Let's see. They don't like to talk about how the French Peninsula saved your asses in the American Revolution. They don't like to talk about the Battle of Yorktown. People also don't like to talk about how I believe it was the French. The French could have possibly came in and turned the tide of the Civil War, if one of the central themes of the war wasn't slavery. The French were going to fight with the Confederates, and the French would have helped the Confederates beat the shit out of the Union, but they didn't. You know, thankfully. Without the French, the U.S. wouldn't be a country. That's another true statement. Yes, absolutely. People would like to forget that. These, and it bums you out because those Marines, you'd think they'd know a little bit. I'm not trying to be like, oh, Marines are stupid. They're not. I'm not ever gonna have the courage to do that. I don't give the same energy to poor police practices. I don't carry that over into soldiers. That's a totally different world. A lot of people will do that sometimes. They'll be like, oh, ACAB, and have that mentality and then think that applies to soldiers and stuff. It's just not. It's just so much different. So much different. Being a soldier and being a cop without ever being either. And I don't want to speak like I have experience, but just from what I've seen, who I've talked to, being a soldier and being a cop are vastly different. Sure, I guess there's some similarities, but there's plenty of similarities between being a performer and being a teacher, but they're not the same thing. Let's see. Well, dude, you have firsthand experience because you're not from here. You don't have to deal with the fucking any of the backlash or stuff like that. And again, I have. But let's see. Well, I encourage the firsthand experience means you're fucking stupid. Hey, and I respect your experience. I'm still going to talk to a few. I have a cousin who was in the Marines. That's about it. Few friends. So, and I could speak, some of them I know are dumb as shit. And then there's actually one of the funniest people I've ever met in my entire life, a true comedy genius, and I won't say who he is. He knows who he is. He's my brother's best friend. One of the, funny to just, when someone's next level funny, who's just he's not telling you a joke, he's just doing something funny. He's a Marine, and he should quit the Marines and being show business, but he's not. So like my experience is much more personal. I've never dealt with large groups of them, so I can only imagine what that's like. Really, based on your statement, which I could say that about a lot of Americans, and it can be very frustrating. That's very interesting. It's a very interesting point you raised there. That you've worked with both American Marines and then what's based on naval infantry, which I believe that's what naval infantry is. Just that's what a Marine is, kind of definition. I'm again talking a little out of school. Military history is not even something I'm close to up on. So it's cool to work with the French. That's neat. That is neat. Yeah, I know things are tense between. But they're also not like. Does the average American hate the average Russian? Does the average Chinese citizen hate the average Russian who hates the average American? Not really. Our governments hate each other, but I ain't got no beef. My people were Russian Jews. That's who I come from. You know, Wolski. This name is a Russian name. SKY. A lot of people think it's Polish. It's not. My last name is Russian. I am of Russian heritage. Russian, Scottish, Irish, all the white stuff. All the very, very, very white things. That's me. Oh, the French, yeah. No, that's a very interesting topic too to bring up. Yeah, the French resistance kicked ass. Kicked ass. You're a citizen? Do you have dual citizenship? I'm not really sure how that works. I really don't. Again, because we're so removed. Again, we have a neighbor to the north and a neighbor to the south who I don't really see any reason for, there's no free travel between those nations at all. Like crossing the Canadian border or crossing the Mexican border, and it's a hassle. It's a thing. And yeah, do your thing, Lawman. I'll mod while you're gone. One thing I will say, like, don't ever be fooled by his silliness. Lawman's a really, really great mod. I like to take time out. Cap Nom too, but he's had a lot less opportunities to quick draw on someone. Lawman's great at that. At like whenever bots show up. You know what? Actually, there's a pretty good. I want to shout my mods out for a minute. The two of them, Cap and Law. Both like they're probably gonna be the only mods I need for a really long time because they both cover certain things like really well. Like one is Lawman when he's in the chat. Bullshit's not going to stay. Like, if he sees something that he knows is going to violate terms of service, get me in trouble, that I don't need to see, boom, that shit's gone. Bots, boom. Lawman executes those bots, like, just done. Done, before they even pop back up. Cap is really good with, like, more of the meta of Twitch. I remember there's, like, a lot of, like, the hate spamming accounts or, like, the rate, I don't know, there's a couple of those that he was hip to. It was like, hey, Alex, these are tied to like, hate accounts and gets them banned. So like with the two of them, I have a very powerful moderation wall. If I ever needed them here, like, because they're not here full time, they're only here when they can be. But like I would feel if I was streaming every day, talking every day like this for hours at a time, and was like making money, like I'd have them on payroll. They'd, I'd cut them in, whatever was appropriate. And have them be here with me because they do a lot of good shit. But let me see what you think. I do have dual citizenship in France and Russia. I was born in France, but since my dad is a native to Russia, they granted me citizenship. Okay, that's interesting enough. I don't know how easy it is to do that in America. And again, they'd probably call you a commie or something. Oh, what do you got? What do you want to live in Russia for? You fucking commie. Even though I don't think they're anything resembling communist anymore, but I don't know. I don't know enough. Current affairs change so often, I like to look at history that's already been laid out. I mean, it can be analyzed, but current events are just frustrating, very frustrating, because you're watching the people make the mistakes that are going to be written about in real time, and that sucks. That really sucks. It's probably my least favorite part about history is watching people make some of the exact same mistakes in real time. Back, I think I'll be over 30 minutes. Yeah, no, that's fine, Lawman. I probably will be done, but it's always good to see you for this amount of time. And again, everyone, that's the mighty mod, Lawman, the King of Belgium. the Duke of Wolski 64. That's the guy right there. And we thank him for his service. So I'll see you later, buddy. Thank you for everything you do. It was good to talk to you again, man. This has been a fun stream again. Completely got away from what it was supposed to be, but and that's right. You are the best mod. Ha ha ha! You are the best mod. See, like Casey, we can't stop. We're evil Americans. Evil. See, because although I have a passport issued by both France and Russia because of my dual citizenship, I was contacted by the European Union, and they basically just said, "Hey, want to get this cool piece of paper? All right, right on. Right on." I think that's pretty great. Yeah, no, I think that's pretty great, and it's good for people in America to reach out and speak to people from those countries, because the ignorance and the tribalism is getting ridiculous. The apps, like this horrifying nature of like, oh, global society. How is that not going to happen with the advent of the internet and us like looking for life on other planets? Do you think aliens are going to give a shit? Like take us to your lead. If they land in India, they're going to take us to your leader. I bet I'd hear Joe Biden be like, "Oh, listen here, Jack. I'm the leader, Dad. You gotta have an ice cream social, Jack. All right." I do a good Joe Biden. But whatever I do with Joe Biden, it slowly turns into George W. Bush. I'm the cider. I'm choked on a pretzel. It just can't. There's no middle ground. Like I start doing Joe Biden, and then it, just morphs. Can't do a good Trump. No one does a good Trump. No one. No one does a good Trump. No one. I hate it. I hate people say, like, I do a good Trump. No one does a good Trump. The only person who does a good Trump impression is Donald Trump himself. No one has ever done a good impression of him. The guy who's the fake Donald Trump, everyone, because he's such an impression of himself already. He's such a parody of himself that no one can impersonate him. I've never heard one single good one. I've heard a couple of good Obamas, a couple of good Joe Bidens, Nick Mullen. Can't always recommend his content, but I can definitely recommend his Joe Biden impression. And JC, thank you for following. And dude, I was getting ready to wrap up anyway. Like, usually when I have a very interesting chatter, I'll stay on a little longer. So thank you for helping carry me over the 2-hour mark. And I've loved talking with you too. So go ahead and get your work done. I'll put this in one more time. We would love to have you in the Discord, because you could talk to me there like all the time. Like you're IMing me. Like if you like talking to me here, I answer in there. So I try to live stream at least once or twice a month. That's kind of where I'm at this point because I'm very busy. So I'll let you guys know when it pops up there. So thank you so much, JC, for being here. And that's actually going to kind of bring me to the end here too, so I can wrap up. Yeah, this is not a Wrestle rant at all. That's what happens when I don't prepare notes. And again, I want this to be a channel where the viewers kind of take me on the adventure. That's why I live stream it, you know. I'm just a guy talking. So the next time we do this, I'll prepare a little more. You know, more notes and stuff. So it'll still be up on the VOD pages, the Wrestle Rant, and there'll probably be like 10 minutes of wrestling. No, it's like 20 minutes, 30 minutes of wrestling talk, and then just like an hour and a half of United Nations type stuff. All right. So yeah, I think I am going to call it right here. So thank you to anybody who tuned in. What was his name? It sucks. I love my dad. It sucks that he called right when he did. Because what was his name? CGE 999. As soon as he showed up, I got a phone call. So, but that's cool. Got a couple of extra followers on the stream, which is always a good thing. So I love you all. I appreciate your time. And you know what? Let's do my favorite thing. I love to end with Third Grade Friends. So let's end with the best Third Grade Friends song, which also happens to be the title track of my podcast. So this is Passing Notes from Third Grade Friends. I love you. And I'll see you next time.
to your friend. Don't let the teacher see you.